This is going to be the episode for the not confident salesperson. I dare you to try these 5 things and tell me that it does not help because I will not believe you. This is going to help you. I am confident in that.
Are you wrapping cars more than 12 hours a day, every day? Working nonstop but can barely get by? Burnout, missing deadlines, and wondering just how much longer you can keep this up?
That was us too. We started our wrap shop buried under $250,000 in debt, and it felt absolutely impossible. But we dug out, built a profitable shop, and are still in the trenches of owning and operating a wrap shop. We're here to share what we learned along the way so that you don't make the same mistakes that we did.
And we're here to help you with the business side of the wraps, like pricing, building a team, streamlining your systems, ultimately so that you can run your shop and your shop stops running you.
Welcome to the Wrap Ops Podcast, brought to you by Wrap Fam Unleashed. Hey everyone, welcome into the Wrap Ops Podcast. If this is your first time ever tuning in, I'm so glad that you decided to listen to this episode. I think it's really going to be beneficial to you. And if you are a repeat listener and a fan of ours, thank you so much. I hope you find some great value and continue to enjoy the pod. So today's episode is for someone who maybe hates sales, maybe just got hired on as sales. Maybe you're an installer who is, you know the ins and outs of installing the wrap, but now you have to start selling it. This is going to be the episode for the not confident salesperson. And my name is Tanor Banks. I'm one of the co-hosts here on the podcast, but today's episode is just me because I was the world's most awkward salesperson. And Andrew is one of those people that was selling honey buns in kindergarten. So he has just always had it and has perfected it, where I feel I had to learn it completely from scratch and perfect it. Also, you get really good at sales when your back is against the wall and you have to sell to survive, which, if you know our story, that was the position that I specifically was in as our front desk person back in 2017. So to set this stage, I just want to remind everyone, if you are not watching the YouTube version of this, maybe you're just listening, you can already tell I have a wonderful high-pitched voice. But I am 5'2", I am blonde, I am a woman in a male-dominated industry, and I have no sales experience before owning performance wraps at all. So if I could learn how to be a confident salesperson, I know that anyone can, because I don't really think it gets worse than that. So stay along for the ride, and we are going to increase that confidence with my top 5 steps. So to dive right in, step number 1, you need to know exactly what you are selling. You need to know the ins and outs of your service. This is going to remove almost all of your anxiety, because the anxiety of selling comes from not knowing what that person is going to say next, and this fear that you're going to sound stupid if you don't know the answer. So if you are well studied up on the product, the service, the sales side of it is going to come so much easier. That conversation is going to flow so much better, and you are going to sound like an expert, which is the ultimate goal here. Your customers need to know that they are purchasing something from someone who knows all the details of it. Examples of this: you need to know what material you are willing to offer and what material you are not willing to offer, with reasons. There are some vinyl brands that our shop does not offer, and I have a long list of reasons that I can say, in my experience, this is what this brand has done, this is what this brand has done, and that is why we don't offer those. As long as you can have reasons behind your decisions, your customer will listen to you. Along with that vinyl thing, you need to know how it is going to react on different surfaces. What if the customer comes to you with a completely rust bucket of a van? You don't want to sell them that this wrap is going to solve all of their problems and the van is going to be immaculate at the end, because that's a huge issue that it's covered in rust. So you need to know how the vinyl will react on rust, on peeling paint, on textured surfaces, on plastic, all of those things. Now, if you're completely new to the industry, those things come with time. I pretty much learned all of those things from messing it up, to be completely honest with you. For example, I would say, yes, we can do a chrome delete on that honeycomb grill. And then when it got back to the install team, they were like, what in the world is this? There's no chance we can do a chrome delete on this, or it will take me 28 hours. And then I unfortunately had to call the customer and repeat that. And I sounded embarrassed. I was embarrassed during that. And I would learn my lessons that way. And those lessons would stack up of next time a customer showed up with a grill like that, with a honeycomb grill, I knew, hey, we couldn't wrap it. So you need to know, what you're selling, the vinyl that's going on there, how it's going to react. Same with like the curvatures of different vehicles. I will say if you're going straight into selling vehicle wraps and you don't have install experience, I would highly recommend watching some videos on install. If you have a team that you can go watch them install. And if you can get your hands dirty and do some install yourself, I noticed that helped me tremendously in the sales process when I understood that wrapping a bumper isn't going to be done in 20 minutes, so that I didn't sell it for such a low cost to where we lost money on it. So little pro tip there if you aren't an installer. If you are an installer, go you, because you should know how long things will take. Which is my next point. You should know the rough install times. A big mistake I learned in the beginning is don't forget that prep is part of that time. You should be charging for your prep. So if someone comes with just a vehicle coated in adhesive, for example, you're going to need to remove that adhesive. So that's probably an extended prep fee. We would call it a removal fee. So you need to know those certain variables. And again, you can confidently talk to your customer and say, well, the price for the wrap is this. However, this vehicle is covered in adhesive, so we will have a price for that. You also need to know your coverage options. So there actually was an image of ours from our website that went around in the wrap room recently that shows your full wrap, your partial wrap, your lettering options, all of that. I have learned that clients have a hard time visualizing when you say 30% coverage or 200 square feet or those types of metrics. But if I can show them a rough graphic of this is about the coverage you could expect, it really makes you the expert as well as simplifies things for the client. And that's a big thing with sales. It's kind of like if you go to a restaurant and the menu is like 10 pages long and 12-point font and they sell like 500 different things, you are immediately overwhelmed and you don't want to make the decision, and the server comes up and you're stressed out because you still don't know. It's the exact same thing with the wrap industry. Too many options is going to overwhelm your customer. Whereas I think sometimes we think, oh, there's so many things we can do. Let me present every single one to them. You as the expert, I would recommend presenting their top 2 options and say, I would recommend this for you or this for you. And if they absolutely hate both options, then you know you can go into a third one, fourth one, etc. But present the top 2 and see what they say and go from there. Which brings me to my final point on understanding the service so that you can sell it with confidence. And that is on you should be knowledgeable of what vehicle wrap or wall wrap solution is for what type of client. For example, we talked about that rust bucket of a van. One of my first questions would be, how long do you plan to keep this van? Because if they're about to sell it in 6 months, a year, soon, basically is what you're looking for, I wouldn't sell them a full wrap. Unless they're pushing you on it and they really want it, then great, do what the client wants at the end of the day. But I would say, well, since you're about to sell it, we could get away with this solution. And then when you get that new vehicle, I would absolutely get a full wrap because it will prevent the rust on the next one. So you kind of see how that flowed into a repeat client. Those are the things I'm talking about with know your customer type and a solution that will work for them. Another good one is industry types. We have an article on our website about this from our experience. You see typically like your lawn care industry will do more of like door slaps, lettering, because they always say their crew beats up the vehicle. So they don't want a full wrap on that. Lawn care typically tends to be a little lower margin as well. But then you have your HVAC companies, a little higher margin, not nearly as much wear and tear on the outside of the van. So they typically lean more partial wrap, full wrap. So kind of those things of what solution would fit what customer. And also being mindful of their fleet. So, if they get a full wrap on this first vehicle, well, is that a good decision to keep the full wrap going on all of the others? Do they need a more economical solution? Those types of things. So be mindful of what solution is going to fit each customer. So you don't need to know everything, but you need to just have a firm grasp of the questions that they're going to ask so that you can anticipate those answers. And included in that also is a question, of course, you're going to get. How long does the wrap last? Do I need to hand wash it? Those aftercare instructions. You need to have your answers polished and memorized, and not like you're reading a script. It needs to come out very naturally, but you need to know what your answers are ahead of time and practice those answers. Another big one is warranty. They're always going to ask, what warranty do I get with this? So you need to have that answer very clear and articulated so that you sound confident and you don't sound like you're just kind of guessing or you don't know, or maybe this is your first day on the job. That is what we are avoiding at all costs with this step. Moving on to my second piece of advice to increase your sales confidence is to try to prep before you ever even talk to the client. What I mean by that is if you know what the vehicle is and roughly what they're looking for, so sticking with our van example here, let's say they're showing up with a certain year, make, and model of van, and they know that they want a full wrap and they don't have a design. You can already come up with a quote before they even walk in the door. Even if you don't have all their information, you kind of have your pricing already in your head. So if they try to immediately say, well, my budget is $500, but you already did the quote for $2,500, you immediately know that full wrap isn't going to work for them because maybe you can't go any lower than that. Now, this prepping before you talk to them, of course, doesn't work if you have a walk-in client or that random phone call that calls right away. That being said, something that has worked really well for us is we do have a booking link on our website. In our previous episode on calendars, we talk about how you can automate this process. And we have it where they can book their consultation at the shop or if we're going on site to them. And they have to answer a couple questions first. And that's so that we can come prepared. Because confidence isn't going to be natural at first. But a prepared person is always going to sound more confident than someone who is unprepared. So pay attention to what the vehicle is, know their name when they walk in. Oh, hey, Mr. Bill, so glad to see you. I see that you were coming in today for a full wrap on that van. I actually put together a couple options for you, and I'm excited to present them to you. That already shows that before Mr. Bill even walked in the door, you thought about him and you prepared for him. So just be ready for that. So I always come prepared with some ballpark pricing, a couple options, and there's, a big buzz about AI and whatnot. You can use AI here as a tool to even kind of come up with a couple visual options, at least to show coverage. It doesn't have to show the design, but if you want to show, 50% coverage, 60% coverage, however you want to do that. Clients love visuals. So any type of prep you can do beforehand is always greatly appreciated by the customer. We're going to take a quick pause right here to hear a word from our amazing sponsors. This is who makes this podcast possible, so we always want to give them some love. And while you are listening, go ahead and send this episode to someone that you think could benefit from hearing ways to increase their sales confidence. And if someone sent this episode to you, know that that is a true friend, because a true friend is trying to help you succeed. So go give them some love as well. And we'll be right back with way number 3 to increase your sales confidence.
After years of running a wrap shop, I've learned this. Your supplier should be a partner, not a question mark. That's why we trust Grimco. For over 5 years now, they have delivered on time and backed us when it mattered most. There's enough to manage in this business. Your supplier should not be one of them. Set up your new account today. Use code RAPOPS5 for 5% off your first order with Grimco.
Welcome back to the Wrap Ops podcast, and we are diving right back into the third way that you can increase your sales confidence if you're an awkward sales noob like I was in the beginning. So this one's going to feel a little, what's the word here? Like, did I really need to say this? Like, duh, we know the answer to this one. You need to look confident. So appearance, so you need to be clean, put together, intentional. A branded polo, a branded shirt always goes a long way to really prove that you are serious about your business. Same with your vehicle. Keep in mind, we sell vehicle wraps. If you're pulling up to like an on-site consultation and your car is a hot mess, that goes against you. That actually is the reason we purchased our very first quote unquote nicer vehicle, which is a Chevy truck, because Andrew was like, I can't show up to these sales appointments in my ratty old rusty Honda. And we sell wraps, so we have to sport an awesome wrap. So keep that in mind. That is very, true to our own business specifically, that your car really, really speaks for what you are selling. And also know that whatever wrap you have on your vehicle doubles as a sales piece that you could walk the client over and show them different parts of your own vehicle if you're at that on-site, or if it's parked in the parking lot and they showed up to your business. But back to that appearance. So clean, put together. Your body language, you need to stand with your posture tall. You need to be making eye contact, a firm handshake. I can't tell you how many times a man shakes my hand and they give me a limp hand. I think that's a girl thing. But if you are a woman listening to this podcast, give that firm handshake. I almost always get a comment on my handshake, and whatever. Give a firm handshake. Show that you're confident. Also, your tone. You do not need to say. I would even recommend recording a call that you take and counting how many times you say. It is amazing. I actually did this to a few of our front desk people who have worked for us. I think I even did it to Andrew at one point where I just sat there and tally marked how many ums. It seems really harsh, but it gets the point across. If you can say that phone call, you said 15 times. You can get away with like one or two. Ideally, it's at 0. And that does take some practice. The biggest thing with the ums is just take a pause, take a breath. Anytime you don't know the answer and you need to think, you're allowed to be quiet for a second. I think the ums come from feeling like we need to fill the air with something, and the quiet scares us. And I'm sure even on this podcast, you've heard me say a few ums. And that's what that is. It's silence is uncomfortable to people. But don't be uncomfortable. Just take a deep breath and avoid saying I would also avoid words like I think. And also maybe you have a business partner or a boss or something like that. Be wary of the I need to ask permission, or I'm not certain I can do that. It's not my call. As soon as you say phrases like that, you are no longer the person that they feel they can talk to, because you're not the decision maker. I've learned this the hard way being married to Andrew. If I ever said, well, let me ask Andrew, and quick note there, notice I say Andrew. I never say husband. I actually get onto Andrew in public when at business events, he calls me his wife, because I feel it immediately discredits me as a partner in the business. So a little feminist thing I do there is I don't like the terms husband and wife in the business setting when I'm trying to get people to take me as an equal and not just think I'm the wife that's tagging along. So anyway, that advice came from me saying, oh, 1 second, let me see if Andrew's okay with that. And I realized I completely lost people as soon as I said that. And Andrew would even say, why are you pulling me into it? You know what you're doing. Make a decision, make an answer. And if you're wrong, we'll deal with it then. So that's something we really encourage our front desk people is just make a decision. And if it's wrong, you will learn from it and we'll go from there. And if it's such a big mistake, we'll take it as it comes. So anyway, just don't give up your power. Watch your tone, watch how you're saying things, speak confidently, own it. A really funny story I don't know if I have shared on this podcast already is I did not know what a Dodge Viper was, which I know you're probably like, wow, and she owns a wrap shop. I didn't, okay, sue me. And I think just for some reason in my head, I thought it was like a really old kind of POS car. I don't know why. And so I go back and I tell Andrew, hey, I sold something. I'm so excited. And he goes, great. What is it? And I'm like, oh, it's a full custom wrap on a Dodge Viper. And his jaw drops. And he's like, what'd you sell it for? And I was like, oh, I gave him a big discount because it's not that nice of a car. And I know we're low on sales. And keep in mind, this was like 2018 maybe. And he's like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? But we really wanted the Viper for marketing purposes and to prove that we could do something like this. So we kept it. We didn't call the guy, say, hey, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. This is the price. And I'll never forget, he actually called back and said, never mind. I actually sold it. Now I have a McLaren. Would you wrap it for the same price? And that's how we wrapped our very first supercar, is actually from me completely messing up on a sale. So all that to say, I always tell that story to the people who do sales for us, because I'm like, you cannot probably not mess up worse than that. So I like to kind of share my failure as, it ended up being a good thing in the long term, but a little silly. And all I would have had to do was maybe a quick Google search to see what the car was, and I could have saved that. But anyway, again, with the tone, speak in statements, don't speak in questions, don't sound unsure. Kind of a fake it till you make it here. Act confident. Now, if you 100% do not know something and you can't even muster up something to sound confident, your go-to phrase is, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but I don't want to give you incorrect information. So let me find that out and I can get an answer to you at X time. Maybe it's that day, maybe it's tomorrow, whatever it may be. You don't need to tell them how you're going to do it. You don't need to tell them who you're going to ask. You don't need to even say that you're looking for help. You're just saying that you will find out that answer and let them know, because the accuracy matters to you. That's how you kind of frame the I don't know scenario. So anyway, we all get it. Tone, look, you gotta walk the walk if you're gonna talk the talk. all of those things, because people are going to buy from someone who seems like they have done this 100 times before. You don't want it to sound like this is the first time ever that you're selling something. Tip number 4. Tip number 4 requires a person who does not have a huge ego. It definitely requires vulnerability and the ability to take feedback. Tip number 4 is to practice all the time, meaning take those sales calls, go to those consultations, even when you have giant pit stains in your shirt. Why do you think my polos are always black and gray? A little TMI on this podcast, but for real, I'm just saying you can work around these things. Keep doing all of those sales calls, even when you're nervous, because you're going to learn from all of it. And the big takeaway here is when someone says no, which they most likely are not going to say no to their face. You do have people that do. We all have had the experience of the, no, I got a buddy who can do it cheaper. We're always going to have that. But typically the no is going to come after that follow-up process, which we have some previous episodes on. But you need to have the confidence and the courage to say, may I ask why you did not go with me? You would be surprised at the answer. And I have often found that when I've asked that question, it has actually increased my confidence. The amount of times that someone has told me it had absolutely nothing to do with you. My boss's brother just happens to do wraps, or something kind of like weird like that you would never expect. Or I got a quote from this company and they're able to do it for this price. However, I'm trying to convince my boss to go with you guys because I like X, Y, and Z better, whatever it may be. So always ask for that feedback. Don't be afraid. And honestly, if they give you feedback of like, honestly, you kind of sound like a douchebag, maybe you need to hear that. And that's kind of on you to take that and run with it and fix it and don't sound like a douchebag the next time. So number 4, work on it, do those reps, get that feedback, and make the changes after receiving the feedback. And my final and most important tip for you to increase your sales confidence is you need to have this motto in your mind. You are helping, you are not selling. So there's so many people who have worked for us that say like, oh, I feel so weird asking for $5,000, $3,000. Like, I don't have that type of money. Well, that's great. You're not selling to you, for one thing. And second, you are not selling, you are helping this person. So more specifically, for those that do commercial wraps, you are helping them grow their business, protect their vehicle, and look professional on the job site. If that's not of interest to that customer, then guess what? They're not your target market and they're not a good client fit for you. You're always trying to help the customer. Again, that goes with understanding the industries that they're in, understanding those use cases. Is the vehicle going to get beat up? You're not trying to get as much money from them as possible on this one sale. Your goal is to make a repeat client. So maybe you go through all of this quoting. You're quoting for what seems like 6 straight hours on a whole fleet, all full wraps, just for them to say, you know what? We actually just need door slaps on one vehicle. It sucks. We've had that happen. But you do the door slaps because when they need the wrap on the vehicle, you are there. Another thing too that you can help with is if they do go with another company, put it on your calendar in 3 months, 6 months to follow up and just say, hey, I just wanted to check to make sure that everything is going okay with the company that you decided to go with. And don't forget, if anything is going wrong, we'd still love to help you if there's absolutely anything that we can do. And that kind of takes that embarrassment away of someone having to say like, oh crap, I should have gone with you and I didn't. You would be amazed how many people have been able to say that because we opened up the door and followed back up with them after. And that's just us trying to help them, especially, if you know the reputation of the certain shops that they're going with, things like that. So if it's not a good fit, tell the customer it's not a good fit for them. I actually have one example where this client wanted these flat panels. I forget what the panels were for, but just these like flat panels of something wrapped in a solid black color. And we priced per square foot and the price was coming out to like $1,000. And I remember I gave the guy the website to Metro Restyling, showed him where the black was. And I said, this is what I would purchase. And I would honestly try to install this one yourself. And he seemed like a guy who would kind of do it himself. And I just said, you could probably get this done for $100 and some time of yours if you have that to give versus our $1,000. That being said, I'll take your $1,000 and we'll do it all day long. And I think he referred so many people to us because of that. because I wasn't trying to make the quick buck. I was just trying to help the guy out. So always put yourself in the customer's shoes. What would you want them to do? There's so many times when we're trying to purchase a product as a customer to any other business, and you can see right through the sales rep that's just trying to get more money out of you or the one that is genuinely trying to help you. So I always try to be the person that is genuinely trying to help you. And we talk about that too in networking meetings. If you're going to those, your goal is just to help people. It is amazing the good karma that you get when you are just a kind human. And if I could push one huge thing to the wrap industry and to other entrepreneurs, it is to practice your soft skills and be a kind human, and then worry about everything after that because it'll all fall into place. So we have educated ourselves fully on our products or our services. We have prepared and anticipated our clients' needs. We are looking and sounding more confident. We have requested feedback after multiple reps and multiple sales attempts, and we are helping, not selling. I dare you to try these 5 things and tell me that it does not help, because I will not believe you. This is going to help you. I am confident in that. You see, I'm selling you. Am I right? Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I cannot wait to see you in the next one, or I guess I won't see you, but you'll see me. You get the gist. And a quick shout out here. We would like to thank ISA and the Wrap Institute, because in 2 short weeks, we will be in Orlando at the ISA Expo with a booth. We've never had a booth before at a conference of this scale, not a wrap conference. And we're so excited. We're going to be doing live interviews. So that also means for you as our listener that we have a bunch of industry interviews coming your way. So if you feel you have something that you could contribute positively to the industry, don't forget that you can apply to be our guest on our website, wrapops.com. Or if you have a question that you wish we would address, go ahead and put it on there as well. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and we will catch you in the next episode. Thank you, guys.
The Wrap Institute, the largest online wrap training platform, now with a special offer. Use our code RAPOPS15 for 15% off your order.